Hey, I'm Jesse. Let's have a devotion. We're going to look kind of zooming out now on Daniel chapter 10 and the opening couple of verses of chapter 11 because uh, we sort of put a chapter break mid sentence here. Here is chapter 10 flyover. Okay, we've kind of zoomed in on pieces of this, but now I want to zoom out and look at the whole chapter collectively. In the third year of King Cyrus of Persia. Okay, you see where we are now in Daniel's chronology. He started off under Babylon. Now we're in the third year of Persian power, and this is the first king of Persia, the one prophesied by Isaiah. A message was revealed to Daniel, who was named Belteshazzar. The message was true and was about a great conflict. He understood the message and had understanding of the vision. Okay, that flows from what Daniel was tasked with by Gabriel on behalf of God in the previous chapter. In those days, I, Daniel, was mourning for 3 full weeks. I didn't eat any rich food, no meat or wine entered my mouth, and I didn't put any oil on my body until the 3 weeks were over. On the 24th day of the first month, as I was standing on the bank of the great river the Tigris, I looked up, and there was a man dressed in linen with a belt of gold from Uphaz around his waist. His body was like beryl, his face like the brilliance of lightning, his eyes like flaming torches, his arms and feet like the gleam of polished bronze, and the sounds of his words like the sound of a multitude. Only I, Daniel, saw the vision. The men who were with me did not see it, but a great terror fell on them, and they ran and hid. I was left alone, looking at this great vision. No strength was left in me. My face grew deathly pale, and I was powerless. I heard the words he said, and when I heard them, I fell into a deep sleep with my face to the ground. Suddenly, a hand touched me and set me shaking on my hands and knees. He said to me, Daniel, you are a man treasured by God. Understand the words that I'm saying to you. Stand on your feet, for I have now been sent to you. After he said this to me, I stood trembling. Once again, poor Daniel. Even after he's resuscitated, he's still trembling. And this happens multiple times in Daniel's life. Don't be afraid, Daniel, he said to me. Probably the number one most common thing that angels have to say to people. For from the first day that you purposed to understand and humble yourself before your God, your prayers were heard. I have come because of your prayers. That's pretty cool. Take a minute and just think about how powerful prayer is. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia, this is the demonic presence, opposed me for 21 days. Then Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me after I had been left there with the kings of Persia. Now I have come to help you understand what will happen to your people in the last days, for the vision refers to those days. So, we see Paul refer to demons as principalities, the powers of the present darkness, in this present age. But now we're also going to see even a prophetic message from this angel regarding the nation of Greece that hasn't really come to power yet. While he was saying these words to me, I turned my face toward the ground and was speechless. Suddenly, one with human likeness touched my lips. I opened my mouth and said to the one standing in front of me, My Lord, because of the vision, anguish overwhelms me, and I am powerless. How can someone like me, your servant, speak with someone like you, my Lord? Now I have no strength, and there's no breath in me. All right, so Daniel's about to pass out again. It's like the third time in this chapter. Then the one with a human appearance touched me again and strengthened me. Even being re-strengthened over and over again, I guess, it has to be exhausting in its own right. He said, Don't be afraid, you who are treasured by God. Peace to you. Be very strong. As he spoke to me, I was strengthened and said, Let my Lord speak, for you have strengthened me. Jesse, why are these passages here? These details about Daniel being overwhelmed. Well, it refers to the nature of revelational epistemology. Daniel is just a human being like you and me. He's just a man. He's a righteous man. There's no record of Daniel sinning. We know that he confesses his own sins in the previous chapter, so he does sin at some point. He's just like you and me, and so he's overwhelmed. He's receiving a message that comes from beyond time itself, but he is a man who lives within time. Can you imagine what it would be like to be shown the end of the world? There's a Nicolas Cage movie called Knowing that's sort of about that premise, but in a fictitious sense. This is real. This really happened to Daniel, and it was more than he could bear. Let it be a note of humility, because if you've ever been angry with God and you feel like you would march into his throne room and kick the door open and put your finger in his face, this is not even Daniel in the direct presence of God. This is Daniel in the presence of the guy who refills the water in the tank of God's Keurig. Okay, this is a courier. This is a messenger. And this message is too much. Even just the presence of this angel is too much. He has to also be re-strengthened because remember, he's been fasting for 3 days. He's limited what he's eaten for a few days. And for a few weeks, for 3 weeks. And that's another reason why he's tired, but he's being shown how the world ends and he keeps passing out as a result. It's because the Bible's not from Daniel. His name's at the top of this book of the Bible, but he's not the one writing the message itself. He is a courier. Daniel himself is arguably like a second-hand messenger as he relays what's sent to him by God's messenger. It comes from God. The angel delivers it to Daniel. Daniel writes it under the inspiration of the Holy Spirit. You and I are reading it, but it doesn't come from time. It's overwhelming, the message itself and the means by which it's conveyed to him. Daniel's already physically weak enough to begin with, but it's more than he can stand. The Bible is more than a book. It's written by God. It comes from beyond time itself, and it has an incredibly taxing effect, apparently, on the human messenger. Peter would give some insight into this as well, speaking firsthand as one through whom the Holy Spirit would inspire books of the Bible, like 1 Peter and 2 Peter. And it's likely Peter's input that helped shape the timeline for the book of Acts, recorded by Luke. He said, "Do you know why I've come to you? I must return at once to fight against the prince of Persia. And when I leave, the prince of Greece will come." Okay, this is kind of prophetic because it's over 100 years until Alexander the Great's about to come in we're still in King Cyrus's rule. Okay, we've got the first king of Persia on the throne here. All right, we've still got to get through Cambyses the second. We've got to get through Darius and Xerxes and Artaxerxes. Like, we've got a long way to go until Greece shows up. So he's speaking about something that hasn't even really taken effect yet, but the demon is just there and waiting. And he's already referred to as the Prince of Greece. However, I will tell you what is recorded in the book of truth. No one has the courage to support me against those princes except Michael, your prince. This is astounding because it says that even some of the angels at least fail to prove their courage to this angel. It says no one has the courage to support me against those princes, meaning the prince of Persia and his accompaniment, referred to as the kings of Persia earlier. The prince of Greece, who, let me correct what I said earlier, he's not just waiting, he's not idle. He's actively fighting now. Greece hasn't even taken power yet, but he's been strategically positioned for just such a thing. And he's not just on standby. He's actively going to fight this messenger angel on his way back home. No one has the courage to support me against those princes except Michael, your prince. And so this could be this own angel's opinion that the other guys are just scared. But we've got Michael, the archangel, who's willing to help. In the first year of Darius the Mede, I stood up to strengthen and protect him. Now I will tell you the truth. So we've just fast forwarded. Okay, the delineation between the chapters is awkward. The end of chapter 10, it kind of takes place here, and then we have the beginning of chapter 11, and it speaks more about these princes of Persia and Greece. Okay, that's why I included this on there. In the first year of King Darius the Mede. So we're still in Persian rule, but we've just fast forwarded. We got King Cyrus, that's the first king, Cyrus the Great. And then we have a few guys that would be referred to as Darius or Darius, but that's the guy who's in charge here at the end of the chapter. In the first year of Darius the Mede, I stood up to strengthen and protect him. Okay, this is a message from that angel. Okay, this is this parenthetical aside. No one has the courage to support me against those princes except Michael, your prince. In the first year of Darius the Mede, I stood up to strengthen and protect him. Now I will tell you the truth. Okay, so we've got a whole time paradox wrapped up into this prophecy, because the vision began in the third year of King Cyrus, but this angel's given a parenthetical about some angelic fighting that goes on in the first year of King Darius the Mede. Okay, if you don't recognize this, the Medes and Persians became like the Medo-Persian Empire. Then here comes the next prophecy. 3 more kings will arise in Persia, and the fourth will be far richer than the others. By the power he gains through his riches, he will stir up everyone against the kingdom of Greece. So the scope of this prophecy exceeds even like the lifespan of the reigning empire. He's talking about the rise of Alexander the Great's empire, and even the spiritual forces that would be at work behind that. The Persian Empire was spiritually quite friendly to Israel. It was under Persian kings that they were allowed to rebuild Jerusalem and rebuild the temple and rebuild the wall. Wasn't perfect. They had a lot of opposition, but some of that opposition came from other people who claimed to believe in God. They also had Haman, who rose to power under King Xerxes, and Haman tried to execute a mass genocide order. So it wasn't perfect under Persia, but God brought Persia to power specifically for the purpose of ending the 70 years of exile under Babylon and allowing them to rebuild the temple, just as was prophesied. It will be rebuilt, even including a moat, but in difficult times. That comes from the 70 weeks of Daniel. And so that all happened under Persian rule. And then the Greeks would come to power, and the Greeks giving way to the Romans after the death of Alexander the Great, and then Romans kind of capitalizing on the weakness of the tetrarchy that was in the remains of ancient Greece, intervening, as the Seleucids and the Ptolemies kind of fought over the territory that was Israel. Eventually, it gives way to Rome. But the scope of this prophecy exceeds the Persian Empire. And so he's getting this message that's from outside of time itself. I wanted to kind of go through that whole chapter wide real quick, and talk about the fact that these things are overwhelming, that they come from outside of time, that they span even the era in which the message is given. The Bible comes from outside of time itself. That's what makes books of prophecy possible. This angel is speaking in parentheticals that are intriguing, but they're normal to this angel because he's been given information from God who is outside of time itself. As we study Daniel, as we study Revelation, as we studied Ezekiel, as we studied Isaiah, we're reading books that talk about how the world ends. How do those books come into existence? The only way prophetic books can exist is if they are inspired by one who is outside of time. So these books are vitally important. I put them all together in a one-year study. The ones that, if I had more time, in our scope and sequence, I would have gone through Jeremiah and Zechariah as well. I've quoted from those books so substantially that I'll bet we've covered a decent percentage of them now, even just as cross references. But these books come because God's outside of time. It's comforting then, even despite the fearsome content prophesied and foretold in Daniel, in Ezekiel, in Revelation. It's comforting to know that all of time itself is in God's hands. The earth is his. The mountain peaks are his. Right? We know that. They're all in the whole, the little kid song is not without merit. The whole world is in his hands. God will allow the devil to do things that coincide with his greater purposes and are redemptive in nature. Not all those things, of course, are good. Some of them are downright terrible, but God redeems. He already knows the redemption is coming. He's already foretold the redemption. That's what we're going to study in Revelation. That's what we've glimpsed at in Daniel. That's what we saw in incredible detail regarding the millennial reign of Christ in the end of Ezekiel. These books come from God. God is the one who initiated time. It's his prerogative to end it where it brings him the most glory. That's exactly what he'll do. And so we don't fear. We trust. We know. The very fact that we have prophetic books, the books that have incredible fulfillment rates, by the way, from our perspective, just living where we do in time, it's incredibly comforting. No matter how fearsome the prophecies are, even that they are prophesied gives at least me comfort. Does it give you comfort too as well? May this fact alone, that these prophecies they transpire over the course of eras that are even beyond the scope of what Daniel could conceive. He didn't know Alexander the Great. He didn't know Greece. That hadn't happened yet when this was delivered. But the very fact that this messenger angel knows what's going to happen in the next empire and is aware even of the chess pieces moving on the spiritual warfare chessboard, it's all leading to a checkmate and God's victory in the end. He's giving this message to Daniel, who can barely contain it physically. That's our Bible. That's the book that we're studying right now. It's so incredible. It's so amazing. Have peace. The Bible comes from the arbiter himself, who presides over all of time itself. It's a message so overwhelming that even secondhand, it causes the great prophet Daniel to collapse multiple times. But what it tells us is that God is sovereign, that he wins. He is the one who initiated time. He is the one who presides over it. He has already written this story, and it ends in his victory. Let the prophetic scope of Scripture, coming from outside of time itself, give you peace.